What's up, everybody? Caesar Madrazo here, and we are back with more Doki Doki Blue Skies. Now, you might notice that the setup looks a little bit different today, and that is because this is the first video that I'm recording on my new laptop. I literally just got it today. I spent the last couple of hours getting it prepped, getting everything set up, downloading everything that I had on my old computer, which I still have. I'm just going to be using my old computer for something else now. But yeah, I have this new laptop. It's got way better specs than the one that I've been recording videos on. So hopefully this is going to look really nice, and I hope that you guys like this new setup that I have here. This is all part of the new stuff that I've been talking about and mentioning here and there for the past week or so. So, tell me if you guys like this new, me facing forward setup, or if you preferred the me turning to the side setup. Personally, I think that the me facing forward setup is a little bit better, but if you guys like the turning to the side, then I can adjust it back to the way it was, or at least get it close, because this laptop, the webcam is in a different location than my old one. But yeah, just let me know. But with all that said, let's dive right into the video. So last time we ended after we showed Monika our poem, and we're doing the Sayori route, as you guys voted for in the previous episode. So we're going to continue on that path, and I think we're going to do Sayori last since we're doing her route. So let me go ahead and do, let's do Yuri for now. Yuri scans my poem with her eyes with a blank expression on her face. So, how is it? Sorry, I suppose as far as poetry goes, this isn't bad, but I'm not immensely impressed by it. Yuri turns away shamefully. One thing I noticed, guys, is that Yuri's position here seems to have not changed. I wonder if this is an oversight, or if they intended it to be this way, because it's a little bit strange. Don't worry about it. I didn't take it that way. What makes you think that? Yuri stares at the poem. A minute passes, more than enough time for her to finish reading. Is everything okay? Oh, goodness, sorry. I know what I want to convey, but I need to find the right words. I understand. Take your time. Okay, I think I know what I want to say. Do you have any prior writing experience? To be honest, not really. Is it that obvious? I don't mean to be rude, but I guessed that it might be after reading through it. Hold on. Okay, so I'm guessing what happened here is that the previous dialogue was supposed to imply, is this your first time writing a poem? Because it says, I guess that it might be after reading through it. But before, Yuri didn't really say, is this the first poem you've ever written, or the first time you've written something? She just said, is this, do you have any prior writing experience? So, this could also just be a minor oversight in the writing. Since this is the first chapter, you know, it's somewhat forgivable. Like, we all know what happens in the first chapter. So, you know, I can forgive a little bit of oversight here, since this is supposed to be sort of the prelude to what happens, to all the new things that happen in the mod. But just, I'm really particular about catching these things. So it's that bad? No! Did I just raise my voice? I'm so sorry. Yuri buries her face in her hands. I couldn't help but notice that it's been several minutes and we really haven't gotten anywhere. Yuri seems to be incredibly introverted. It must take her a long time to warm up to people. Don't worry about it. We all start somewhere, right? What were you saying? Right. I've just noticed a few qualities consistent with newer writers that showed up in your poem. Perhaps what stands out the most is that you've tried very hard to make the structure of this poem your own. And that's okay, but if this is the first poem you've written, it might be prudent to consider more traditional structures, couplets, sonnets, haiku, and the like. If you're not confident in your writing style, it'll show in your piece. It's like Yuri is a totally different person once she gets going. She sounds incredibly confident and stands tall, speaking clearly. Again, that's not your fault. I think that once you study poetic structures and techniques a bit more, you'll be able to put together a truly wonderful composition. I appreciate the feedback, Yuri. It sounds like you're well versed in this sort of thing. Would it be okay if I took a look at what you've written? Oh, goodness, of course. Please let me know what you think. I'd be thrilled to explain my process. Yuri smiles dreamily, as if that's a rare opportunity for her, which itself is kind of funny. After all, isn't this supposed to be a literature club? Tumble. And, okay, another new poem. Okay. Hail falls down like discarded dust of overused emotions, dragging down blankets made of want. Slender string pierces my eyelids, barely painful, and pulls them shut. Ever so heavy, ever so heavy. I think I've misplaced something. Is there a piece missing? You need all the pieces to fix something. Please don't look for it. There are more important things for you to do today. Hail falls down like discarded dust of overused emotions, dragging down blankets made of want. Slender string pierces my eyelids, barely painful, and pulls them shut. Ever so heavy, ever so heavy. I think I've misplaced something. Is there a piece missing? You need all the pieces to fix something. Please don't look for it. There are more important things for you to do today. I'm having a little bit of trouble with this one. This is, you know, in the previous video, the character talked about how Monika's poem was abstract. This seems a little bit more abstract. I'm having a little trouble deciphering this one. I'm sorry if my handwriting's a bit illegible. Once my pen touches the page, I just want to get my thoughts down. That's fine, Yuri. I was able to read it just fine. I wasn't thinking that at all. Are you sure? It seemed to take you a while to read it. Well, it took me a while because I was trying to figure out what it means, not because I was having trouble reading it. Well, I guess I don't see cursive often, but it's really nice when I do. Your writing's actually quite pretty. Is that so? I'm glad you think so. It made your poem stand out even more as well. It's as though your handwriting fits your word choice, or vice versa. It wasn't too short, was it? I'm used to writing longer pieces, but since this is the first time we're sharing, I thought it would be easier to share. That makes sense. Do you mind telling me what it's about, though? I'm not sure I understand. Yeah, I'm not sure I understand either. Sorry, I didn't mean to write something confusing. Oh, it's not that. I just want to be sure I'm reading it properly. I see. I suppose from a cursory glance, it might not be obvious. Nope. But part of what makes poetry magical is how you can conjure up a vivid image with your own words. I wasn't even really getting a vivid image when I was reading it. I was just trying to, think what metaphors she could be using, or what analogies she could be using in the poem. While on the surface it might seem a bit out there, if you look a little deeper, you might be able to find a deeper meaning hidden amongst the lines, compounded by metaphors used. Well, that's what you do with all the poems here, but the problem here is the metaphors seem to be a little bit, they seem to be hidden a little more deeply than all of the other poems I've seen in this game or the original. For example, the words and images in this poem aren't meant to be taken at face value. Well, I assumed that. In actuality, it's supposed to represent the last remnants of something lost to the past, and the sense of plaintive longing that comes with it. That's pretty impressive when you put it that way. Oh, I wouldn't go that far, but thanks for the compliment. That was kind of a vague description. I'm still not quite sure what Yuri was supposed to be referring to in that poem. Hopefully, during your time here, your understanding of poetry will grow, and these things will come to you naturally. I guess to the mod's credit, this is probably a little bit closer to what reading Yuri's poetry is supposed to actually be like. Like, you know that it means something, but it's really hard to determine what. But yeah, I can't, for the first time, I'm a little bit stumped about the poetry. I can't quite figure this one out. So if you guys know, or if you have any ideas on what Yuri's poem is supposed to be referring to, then leave a comment down below. I'd like to hear you guys' ideas, because that one threw me for a loop. I'll do my best. Thank you for sharing with me, Yuri. Of course. Alright, so I guess we'll do Natsuki next. Well, it's about what I expected from someone like you. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? What I mean is that it's just kind of average. Doesn't really evoke any emotions. This is a Sayori poem, Natsuki. The whole thing is about emotions. So, kind of bland for your tastes? Natsuki furrows her eyebrows at me. My tastes? What's that supposed to mean, huh? Oh, nothing. Well, anyway, I guess I'll show you my poem now. Not that you'll like it or anything. Sometimes. Sometimes folks are winners, some only lose. Some are go-getters, some only cruise. Sometimes we try hard and give it our all. Sometimes we give up. What else can we do? Alright, well, yeah, it's pretty self-explanatory. Perhaps even a little too simple for Natsuki. I mean, yeah, Natsuki's poems are supposed to be simple, but, this doesn't really, I don't know. Natsuki's poems, even though they're simple, they tend to go into the why a little bit. This is just sort of saying, yeah, some people win, some people lose. Sometimes we give up, what else can we do? Well, I guess, just trying to deduce my own meaning here, I guess you could say that because the poem seems to come to a bit of a an abrupt ending like that, that could mean that Natsuki, as the writer, or whoever the character is supposed to be in this poem, is giving up on writing the poem, as if, you know, it's like a halfway finished poem. They're like, ah, whatever, I give up. That could be it. I don't know. Let's see. Told you you'd hate it. Actually, I like it. What? Don't just say it's good because I'm a girl. Well, everybody is a girl except for the player character, Natsuki. That doesn't that doesn't really mean much. If 4 out of the 5 club members are girls, then you don't get special treatment for that. Be honest. What? No, it has nothing to do with you being a girl. I genuinely like the poem. Really? Yeah, it's simple, but it's pretty effective. Finally, someone who gets it. People in high school think poetry has to be so formal and vague. But they don't realize that simple writing is just as effective, if not more. The reader shouldn't have to search for the meaning. That's just stupid. Besides, the simpler the writing, the more emphasis on wordplay. Like how I made most of the lines start with some. Yeah, I noticed that. Made the last couplets seem more powerful. Yes, that's exactly what I'm going for. Well, good job then. Ha! Didn't expect that from the youngest of the club, did ya? Yeah, I guess not. Well, okay, that was brief. Alright, Sayori, here we go. Wow, Caesar, this is so good! Seriously, this is your first poem? Huh? It's not that good, jeez. Seriously, it is! I love it! I had no idea you were such a good poet! Sayori, you're overreacting a bit. It's really nothing special. Trust me, it is. How did you write it? Huh? What do you mean? Like, what did you think of while you wrote this? I guess, this is gonna sound a bit weird, but I thought of you? She gives me a brief look of disbelief, a faint blush on her cheeks. Me? Yeah, hey, not like in a weird way or anything. I just thought of words that reminded me of you and went along with that. It just kind of felt natural doing it that way, I guess. Well, if it works, it works. Looks like this club really is the best place for you. As much as I like her praise, it's not exactly helpful. Well, to be fair, I don't think any of the club members, with the exception... actually, no, not even Monika, have said anything particularly helpful here. I'm no master of poetry, and I kind of need to know how to get better. Yuri's opinion was way more constructive than this, was it? I don't think it was. Well, I'm glad you like it, Sayori. Good to know I'm not totally in over my head here. She looks at me for a moment, not saying anything. There's a few moments of an odd silence. Earth to Sayori. She jumps slightly. Sorry. I'm just not used to seeing you around again, that's all. To have you here in the club writing poems? It's lovely, though. It just takes a little getting used to. Yeah, that's understandable. I'm a bit surprised myself, to be honest. But I'm enjoying it here so far. That's good to hear. Do you want to read my poem now? I'm not very good, though. Only one way to find out. Dear Sunshine. Okay, so we have seen this one. This is, just like Sayori's original poem from the game. So, Sayori's first poem from the original game. So, I guess, maybe, we'll have to see, but I'm guessing what's happening here is that, whoever's route you choose, you get to see their original poem first. Or maybe they just, you know, didn't want to write a new first poem for Sayori, but either way, we'll see what happens in the other routes. Well, what did you think? I hesitate as I answer. It's not that it was a bad poem, in fact, it was great. I'm just really inexperienced with poetry, especially feedback. It's really... you. What's that supposed to mean? As in, the poem just really reminds me of you. It made me feel really good inside. Really? Yeah, I had no idea what to expect, as this is my first time reading your poetry. But the way this was written, I don't know, it feels really wholesome and cheery. Like you are. I also really like the last line. Trust you of all people to include breakfast in their poems. Hey, I was eating when I wrote Sayori stopped speaking immediately, as if she's accidentally let something slip. Ah, so you wrote the poem this morning. Huh? No. Well, maybe. I forgot to write it last night. Well, at least we know where your inspiration comes from. Eggs and toast! Well, I suppose if it sounds silly but it works, then it isn't silly. Either way, thanks for showing me your poem, Sayori. It was really good. I'm happy you think so. Anyways, next time I won't forget. Tomorrow's poem will be even better. I'll hold you to that. Whew! I guess that's everyone. I glance around the room. That was surprisingly fun, albeit a bit stressful. I already knew that I wouldn't be able to write to the quality of the girls, but I tried my best. Everyone here is incredibly talented. Well, all the girls at least. Across the room, Sayori and Monika are happily chatting again. My eyes land on Natsuki and Yuri. They gingerly exchange sheets of paper, sharing their respective poems. As I watch, Natsuki breezes through Yuri's poem, her eyes skipping over the words. Meanwhile, Yuri stares at the paper in her hands, smiling sadly. Natsuki quickly hands Yuri her poem back. Here, I'm done. Already? Yeah, it's not like it was super hard to read. I'm not illiterate, you know. Huh. It was hard for me to understand, at least. I just want to make sure you caught all the figurative language that I employed. Yeah, I did. It was fancy. Thanks. However, I believe that you'd enjoy it more if you looked deeper into it. I enjoyed it plenty already. Besides, anyway, are you finished with my poem then? Yes, yours is cute. Cute? Didn't you learn anything from our conversation yesterday? Yuri looks shocked, regret seeping into her expression. Seems like both girls still hold on to their own prejudices despite whatever common ground they have. How can it be cute? You're standing there thinking that I haven't read your poem when it's really you who haven't read my poem. It's clearly about the push and pull between giving up and trying hard. Well, that's not what I got from yours, Natsuki. Yours had more of a some people win and some people lose mentality. Like, you know, some people don't give up and some people do give up. I didn't really get much of a battle, an internal battle between giving up and winning from yours, but, you know, whatever. I know that. I just meant the language, I guess. Well, maybe you should look deeper into my poem, because I use that type of language on purpose. I see. But if I may give a suggestion, these more involved subject matters may be better suited to more complex diction. The art of poetry is deeply intertwined with... Look, I know what you're trying to do, but it won't work on me. I'm sorry, but I don't quite understand. Writing in this way doesn't make you look cool or smart, okay? It just makes you look super pretentious. If you write with a thesaurus open next to you, you're just going to alienate everyone. Using all these big words to make up for lack of depth. Poetry isn't about impressing people, so you can just stop. Holy crap. I stare wide-eyed at Monika and Sayori, who have now also fallen silent. They stare back at me, looking unsure of what to do. I'm guessing that they don't usually have many arguments in the club. Although tensions between Natsuki and Yuri already seemed kind of high. Lack of depth. Yeah, that's right. So if I can give some suggestions now... Excuse me, I appreciate the offer, but I really must ask. What makes you believe that I'll accept your advice after you've been so rude to me? Huh? Rude? That was just blunt honesty. Do you ever consider that other people don't hold the same opinions as you? What are you trying to say? Do I really need to spell it out for you? Yeah, you do. I want to see if you're really going there. The irony. I dare you to say it. Yuri gives a small laugh of disbelief. I must thank you, Natsuki. I've never been this angry in my life. It's actually giving me courage to speak up. Is this why you're angry all the time? Guys, we shouldn't... This doesn't involve you! Sayori, please don't rob me of my moment. So this is your moment to shine or something? Strange thing to take pride in, don't you think? No, it's my moment to finally speak my mind, while I still have the strength to. Yuri! Natsuki, have you realized how selfish you are? Suddenly Yuri seems to be overpowering everyone else in the room. What? Everything always needs to go your way. You always jump to conclusions and make rash decisions without regard for the consequences. And it's never your fault, is it? You don't know me. No, you don't know me either. And yet you spoke as if you know everything about me. Quite simply, you don't. The very fact that you don't think that your blunt honesty was incredibly rude just goes to show how narrow-minded you truly are. Seizing her moment, Yuri boldly carries on, disdain dripping from each word. I know it must be difficult, I know it must be a difficult concept for you to understand, but the whole world doesn't revolve around you and your manga. So tell me, why should I take advice from someone who can only see their own perspective? Everyone knows it. Monika, Sayori, even Caesar. Don't you remember how hostile you were to Caesar when he first joined us? I wasn't being hostile. We hadn't had a new member in such a long time. Sorry, not sorry for keeping on my toes. And that's how I talk to everyone, not just to Caesar. Am I supposed to change my whole personality to cater to how you think I should be? Ah, Natsuki's got a point. I know what they're doing here. This is what I was talking about before, about how people just, they're too quick to assume that Natsuki is, just an overall, mean person, when really it's just the way that she talks to people. However, on the other side of that, you could make the argument that if everybody has a problem with the way that Natsuki presents herself and the way that she talks to people, then maybe Natsuki is the actual problem, not everybody else. But there are people who do understand that Natsuki doesn't talk this way to, just make everybody sad. Like she just said that it's not her intention to, make anybody angry. She's just being the way that she is. So, I can see both sides of the argument, but I do think this is a good point that Natsuki is making here. Why should she have to fit the mold that everybody wants her to fit into just to please other people? There is a small degree to which you should be doing that. I mean, obviously, it's a fine line, but if your behavior is making everybody else uncomfortable, then, well, you're the problem, not everybody else. But if people are pressuring you to act a certain way that you don't want to act, then you have the right to stand up for who you are. It's a fine line, but, I can see both sides of the argument. But here I do think Natsuki is making a good point. If Caesar has a problem with my jokes, he can tell me. Whoa, I'm not a part of this conversation. I just defended you, Natsuki. You don't get to speak for him, okay? Yeah. Yuri closes her eyes and shakes her head, carrying on as if she didn't hear the outburst. Do you really expect a new member to be able to speak up so easily? Not everyone is as unafraid of being a brutish cretin as you. Well, that's also true. Natsuki, she is very blunt. And because that is the way she is, it could be, excusably, it could be a little difficult for her to understand why other people wouldn't want to, be so upfront about the way that they feel about certain things. What? The rest of us were so excited to have a new member, but did that ever cross your mind? No, you just let your own selfish thoughts dictate your behavior. Selfish? They weren't You could have scared him off. That might have been what you wanted, but what about the rest of us? I just explained myself for God's sakes, but as per usual, you aren't listening. For someone who's been ranting on about how narrow-minded I am, you're pretty intolerant yourself. There, I used a big word. Do I sound like Shakespeare yet? Am I worthy of your attention now? Well, okay, Natsuki is taking it a little too far at this point. I don't think that anything that Yuri has said up to this point in the argument would merit that kind of reaction. This isn't really so much about Natsuki's use of language and poetry anymore. This is about her overall personality. So, I don't know. This seems to be like a strange retort. Ouch. Both girls really have their claws out. Also, Monika and Sayori didn't have any issue with me yesterday. It's just you. Well, that's not true. I can't remember if it was Monika or Sayori, but one of them apologized for your behavior, Natsuki, so that's not entirely true. Of course they did, Natsuki. They just didn't say anything. Well, they did. Actually, yeah, they did. One of them, I can't remember who, but one of them apologized for Natsuki's behavior. Monika is too responsible and Sayori's too kind. So why don't we ask Caesar then, as the more unbiased spectator? Okay, so this is the classic moment where they're being unfair to the player character and bringing him into an argument that he's not even a part of. Fine. Caesar, who's right, me or Yuri? How did I get dragged into this in the first place? I don't even know what they want me to decide on at this point. Should I just ignore all the personal stuff and just talk about their poetry? That's what started the argument, after all, but it's not like I'm a good judge of writing quality, given that I'm just a beginner. I don't think it would be fair of me to take either side either, especially since I'm new here. Maybe I should defer to one of the club's leaders? So of course that's going to be, Sayori or Monika. Well, we are doing the Sayori route, so let's go with Sayori. I hate being put on the spot like this. Both Yuri and Natsuki are looking at me. While their hostility isn't aimed at me, I still feel like I'm the target for the anger in their eyes. Yeah, you kind of are. Like you're, they're using you to excuse their own sort of like irrational responses here. So like both of these two are in the wrong right now, and unfortunately you're the one that's kind of being punished for it. But you know, maybe Sayori will save you. Guys, I gulp nervously as a bead of sweat trickles down my neck. I'm really not the best judge for this. After all, I'm new, so I'm becoming painfully aware of how weak my voice sounds. Neither girl looks impressed. Wow, real help you are. Hey, Natsuki, no. You, first of all, the player is in no obligation to help either of you right now. This is your personal argument, so, like, the only reason that he's even a part of it is that you have dragged him into it. So, you have no right to judge any response. Neither of you do. Natsuki, let me guess. Blah, blah, blah. You're being so rude. You're a broken record. Yuri, shut up. So you're finally realizing how insolent you are. You got there in the end. Well done. Well, Yuri, I do agree that Natsuki's response was unmerited. But again, you're just kind of, you're sort of beating a dead horse here. Frankly, both of you are. You are such a Stop! Okay, so we didn't even call out to Sayori, but she intervenes anyway. We're all stunned in silence. I've never heard Sayori angry before, and even Natsuki looks taken aback. Well, she doesn't look angry. She just looks like concerned to the point that she felt the need to scream. Immediately, the anger on Sayori's face is replaced by a flood of tears, the anger giving way to sadness. Well, again, I don't think Sayori was angry. She was just concerned. Guys, enough of this. Please. You're tearing apart this club. I don't know why, but I was reminded of the Tommy Wiseau scene. You're tearing me apart, Lisa. Anyway, please don't do this. I love this place so much, and you guys are both my friends. I hate it when people fight. It's horrible. This place means so much to me, and I know it means a lot to you guys as well. So please, can we stop arguing over whose style is better? It doesn't even matter. You're both unique, and that's what counts. Yuri and Natsuki are both looking incredibly ashamed of themselves. Well, that's, wow. Sayori seems to have had to say very little to get them to have a change of heart. I guess neither of them expected that their argument would hurt Sayori so much. That once raging fire has been snuffed out, replaced with smoldering embers. I really like your simple style, Natsuki. It's so nice to sit down and read a poem that springs to life. And I know that the others do as well. Monika and I nod in earnest, putting a small smile on Natsuki's face. And Yuri, I'm amazed at how complex your deep poems are. They're really in-depth. But there's no need to argue over which style is better. You can't really compare them anyway. It depends on what mood you're in. She's right, guys. Sometimes you're just in the mood for something simple. Sometimes you might want something a bit more complex. It's like music or movies. People like a variety of things. You can't really say that comedy as a genre is better than action, can you? Both types appeal to different things. You wouldn't watch an action movie for the laughs, would you? I look over to Sayori and give her a reassuring smile. She returns with a watery smile of her own, rubbing the tears away. You said it, Caesar. She turns to face Yuri and Natsuki once more. Now, you both said some stuff that was pretty mean, but I know neither of you meant it. Neither of you are narrow-minded. Although it would be nice if you could like each other's stuff a bit more. So could you try doing that a little, please? For me? For the club? I can't help but laugh as she puts on puppy dog eyes. I don't think she realizes the right time to use them. Sure, whatever. I'll try. Yuri takes a deep breath, finally lifting her eyes off the floor. You're right, Sayori. I'll also make more of an effort. And Natsuki? What? Natsuki still looks quite defiant, as though expecting another insult from Yuri. I apologize for what I said. Your style has its own merits. Natsuki blinks as though slapped in the face. She clearly wasn't expecting an apology. It's fine. Don't worry about it. Your style is... She diverts her eyes downwards once more. I guess what I'm trying to say is, you write pretty well. I shouldn't have said that stuff. Me neither. There's an awkward silence. That's much better, guys. Thank you for putting your differences aside. We all really appreciate it. I'll go and make some tea. She rushes off as Natsuki wanders over to the closet. I glance over at Monika. She hasn't said a word throughout the whole argument, which surprised me. I should have been the one who said all that. Why didn't you then? I wince as the word leaves my mouth. They sounded more accusatory than I would have liked. Well, I know I'm the leader and I run this club, but I'm not the greatest with people. I frown. If she isn't great with people, how can she run a club? She must have caught the confusion on my face as she hastened to explain. Sorry, let me rephrase that. I'm fine with people, it's just their drama that I can't really deal with. Well, that's why you have Sayori, right? Mm-hmm. She's an excellent vice president, able to deal with conflict much better than I can. Which is pretty embarrassing, at least for me. That should have been my duty to deal with, not hers. I don't blame you, though. Seriously, it was pretty tough to get involved. I could barely speak up. True, but that's exactly the sort of thing a president should be able to deal with. Nah, come on, Monika, don't see it like that. You and Sayori just have different strengths, that's all. I always thought of her as a little ditzy sometimes, but she definitely has a knack for social situations. Definitely. I'm very grateful to have her as my vice president. Well, the both of you do a really good job running this place. I know that it's a bit of an early assessment. But, you know, first impressions and all. She smiles sweetly at me, causing my stomach to knot. You're too kind, Caesar. I'm glad Sayori brought you along to the club. I really do hope you stick around. Don't worry, I will. Monika seems like such a genuine person, and she makes a great president, regardless of what she might think. Hopefully, I'll be able to properly get to know her during the school year. Okay, everyone, it's just about time for us to leave. How did you all feel about sharing your poetry today? I noticed that she carefully avoids mentioning the argument that just occurred. It was a lot of fun. Some moments were worth it. It was alright. Well, mostly. Caesar, how about you? I actually really enjoyed it myself. It seems I do like expressing myself through poetry, a lot more than I initially thought. Everyone looks intently at me, the girls smiling. It was really cool getting to see everyone's different writing styles. That's awesome! In that case, we'll do the same thing tomorrow. And hopefully you learn something from us, too. So your poems will turn out even better. Yeah. I think to myself a bit as I begin to pack up. Today I managed to learn a little more about the kinds of poems that everyone likes. With any luck, I'll be able to learn more about the girls as individuals through their themes and messages. I nod to myself, turning to Sayori. Hey Sayori, ready to walk home? Sure! Okay, see you guys tomorrow then. As we leave the club, Sayori turns back to wave at the girls. I do the same. Natsuki smiles, then quickly looks away to act like she doesn't care. Yuri awkwardly smiles and nods. And, as expected from the school idol, Monika gives a friendly grin and waves back. Sayori, about what, happened earlier. Huh? What do you mean? You know, between Yuri and Natsuki. I remember you told me yesterday that they sometimes bicker, but are all their arguments normally that bad? I feel a little guilty as I ask her, and as I know she doesn't like talking about conflict, there's a slight dip in the cheeriness of her voice as she replies, No, not at all. They have their differences, but it's the first time I've ever seen them fight like that. They're both wonderful people, I promise. You don't hate them or anything, do you? Oh, no, not at all. It's only normal for people to argue, I guess. I was just curious. After all, you know them better than I do. Sayori lets out a relieved sigh. You know, Caesar, it's been so nice seeing you again. I didn't really think we'd get to spend so much time with one another again. Yeah, tell me about it. It's been really fun hanging out again. I don't really know when we started drifting or why. Guess it was just life coming between us. She nods, looking a little reflective. Still, I'm glad you let me join your club. I'm not gonna lie, at first I was a bit doubtful when you told me it was about literature. But hey, I guess it goes to show that you shouldn't judge a book by its cover. She giggles and I frown. Did I say something funny? Nice pun. Did you even realize? Huh? Pun? Ah, you mean about the book comment? Oh, and this is a literature club. Jeez, looks like the club's really starting to rub off on me, isn't it? Sayori might be known as a bit of an airhead, but sometimes she can really notice things that others don't. I wonder, what's it really like inside of her head? Ha, you haven't changed at all, Caesar. You always knew how to make me laugh. I blush slightly. I've never really known how to react to that comment, especially when it comes from someone of the opposite sex. I'm glad I'm still able to do that. I'll be honest though, I didn't think I'd make so many new friends by joining the club. Well, they're a really nice bunch. I'm not surprised. Yeah, pretty warm welcome. She nods contentedly. Anyway, let's see what the future holds. I'll see you tomorrow. Okay, see you tomorrow. These girls are all interesting characters, aren't they? Despite different personalities and a variety of writing styles, yet they're all united under the same club. I briefly wonder how Monika found all of them. In just 2 days, I feel like I've made progress with each member, getting to know Yuri and Natsuki, actually getting to talk to Monika a little bit, and of course, reuniting with an old friend. I never would have guessed this would all come from joining the club, but hey, I'm not complaining. Let's just hope my writing improves over time so I can write poems to a standard more like theirs. Speaking of which, there's work to be done tonight. Let's do this. Okay, guys. So we are a little over 35 minutes at this point, and I think this is the time to write a new poem. So this is probably the best point to stop today. Here we go. Okay, so let's save. All right. So, very interesting variation of the first chapter from the original game. I'm kind of liking the differences. Like, you know, a couple of minor things here and there, but, you know, no mod's perfect. As you guys who watch the meta series probably know. But anyway, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. Again, leave me some comments regarding, one, what do you think Yuri's poem was actually supposed to be about? Because that really stumped me. And two, tell me, do you like this facing forward format better, or did you like the facing to the side format better? Because I can do either one. It's just that with this new laptop, I wanted to try something a little bit different. If you don't care, then don't bother leaving a comment. If it doesn't seem like people really care, then I'll just go with what's more convenient for me. But anyway, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video, and until tomorrow, I'm Cesar Madrazo, and I am out.